Hello, in this video we are going to see how can we use Talend to process mainframe data. We shall start with some basics. What is mainframe? What are copybooks and how is the data sent in mainframe in the EBCDIC format? Relevance of mainframe, and finally we shall see the demonstration, the core, the crux of this whole video, the demonstration of this transformation in Talend. That's what we are going to see finally. So mainframe data is typically in EBCDIC format. EBCDIC stands for Extended Binary Coded Decimal Interchange Code. It's a encoding like ASCII encoding, and I have created another videos where it details that what exactly is EBCDIC encoding. You can refer the videos in description. Copybook is a schema. This is a file which describes the structure and layout of data records. So whatever records are there in this data, they are in binary format. And how can you exactly read and how can you know what exactly is the records which are kept inside the data? The data structure of that data is defined in copybook. Finally, if in case we have to parse the data, we require both. We require the data file because it inherently contains the data. Also, we require the copybook because we have to read the schema of the data file. So parsing data needs both the files. This is the demonstration which we are going to have. We shall be having a copybook and we shall also have the data file. We shall use Talend to create a structure, to create a mapping, and finally to have the output in our own chosen formatting. And this case can be extended to fetch the files from a S3 bucket or from a SFTP server, finally put the data inside some kind of database. So all those extensions are still possible, but because the intention of this video is to have a simplistic view of only parsing the data and seeing how exactly copybooks are read, structures are created in Talend, and not to see the entire features and functionality set of Talend as a ETL tool, extract, transform, load tool. We shall see this basic demonstration, which you can again enhance to have your needs facilitated. This is an article from IBM. What is mainframe and why I should care? So mainframe is a big, powerful and secure computer. They contain large amounts of memory, RAM, and processors, CPUs, that can process billions of simple calculations and transactions in real time. And the important thing is the resiliency. The mainframe shown in the image above can survive an earthquake up to 8.0 on Richter scale. The building could collapse around it and the mainframe would still be standing. So you can see that how resilient this mainframe from 2022 IBM Z16 is. And here then again they have put anecdote that a whole building collapsed and the team cleared the rubble and attempted to boot the machine, which to everyone's surprise beeped and booted into life. The difference between mainframe and a server is sheer size. Mainframes are known for being more powerful and reliable server. This reliability stems from every single component of mainframe having multiple layers of redundancy. And this mainframe is typically, if you see today's mainframe, they are of the size of a refrigerator, home refrigerator. Why should I care about what mainframe is? The reason I make that point is because a study carried out few years ago by IBM detailed that 80% of all corporate data either is stored on or originates from mainframe. Thankfully, the mainframe is most secure place for this data to be stored. So now you know what is the importance of mainframe, and you can also see that mainframe is relevant today as well. So I am in the Talent Big Data platform, the Talent Integration Studio. So now what I shall do is here we can have different perspectives and I want to go to the mapping perspective. So I'll open the same and here in the structures, I'll create a new structure and this structure shall be based on my copybook. So before that, let's quickly see the copybook. So the copybook which I'm going to use is this one. Okay, so let me open this copybook now. I'm going to import structure definition COBOL copybook is one of them. So I choose this option. Here I choose COBOL copybook, and then I say local file because it is placed locally, and I choose the file. And this one I leave it as is. Encoding and all the options I'll leave as is. And then I would select the place where I want to have this, and uh, this one, this is the place where I want to have it, and then finally I'll just finish it. So this is the copybook which has been imported. And what I want to do now is I want to have this copybook tested with some data. The data is already coming here because I had used this data in the past. But if in case you have to have the binary file, the data file tested against the definition which has been imported, what you have to do is you have to click here, show document, select sample data, and then you shall say import document from a file. So what I'll do is I'll go here and select my file from which I want to import. Now this file is already existing and it's already imported. So for me, it is saying it is already existing. But for you, if in case you want to read the document and see whether it is parsing or not, you shall be able to select the document, and then you shall see this view where the document is being loaded. Now I see that I have a lot of issues with this document. And the reason for those issues I'll try to explain you. I had to do some debugging to exactly find the reason. It took some time, but now that I know the reason, I'll share with you. So here what is happening is if we go here and I make it editable like this, so it says that the account occurs 0 to 80 times. But when I see the definition of this, when I see the layout of this file using the tool, which I described in the previous video, I'll put the link of that video. I know that the number of items here is not ranging from 0 to 80. So if you see here, it says that the number of account indicates how many times this thing is repeating. So repeat is being indicated by number of accounts, which is this. But essentially the data is laid out little differently. So what is happening is this account detail is always 80 times, but this number of account indicates how many out of those are really containing the detail of accounts. This shall become more clear once I make these changes and parse this. So what I have to do to clear these errors which have come here. So what I have to do is, because account detail is always repeating 80 times, okay, which I'm going to show you in a bit. What I'll do here is I'll make 80 out of 80. Okay. And after making this change, I'll do so show sample is still giving me issues. So what I have to do here is I have to go to the representations, COBOL, and I am thinking that there are some spaces in the padded decimals and all these basic things which are not allowing it to parse. I'm making them allowed in my parsing. So I selected these options and I say OK now. Now if I do the metadata and show sample, it still did not work. Let me check what might be the reason. Yes, so what has happened here is that I did made it 80 out of 80, but still this one I did not delete. So it is looping the number of accounts time. So whatever is the value of number of account, it is looping only those number of times. But instead what I want it to loop 80 times all the time. So min and max both I want to have 80. So what I'll do is I'll delete this. I'm going to delete this. So it's deleted now. Hopefully it should be able to fetch the data now. And you can see that I can see the sample. So I'll go here and I can say show sample. So this is indicating all the records which are there in the sample document which I placed. So if I open it in a XML parser, let me go to XML parser. I'll paste it here. So now what I'm going to tell you is why that I had to make 80 instead of 0 to 80 based on the loop count. So you see the first record here and it has number of account 1. So number of account is 1. Still the account detail are looped 80 times. So number of account is only indicating that the very first account is a valid and the repeat is still how many times? 80 times. I have counted it and it is 80 times. Let's see the other record. This is the record number 2. And here also, if we see number of account is 1 and the first one is valid, the rest of the entries are still there, but those entries don't have any value. Same pattern repeats. For example, 3, we see number of account 1 and it has one valid account. Let's go to 4 and it has two accounts. So this is a little different because two valid accounts are there, two valid accounts, and the entries are repeated still 80 times. So that's where I made this change. So what change I had done? I had removed the util. In the util here, whatever repeat was there, that repeat I deleted from here. And second thing which I did was I made it 80 out of 80 because it is always occurring for 80 times. So with this, our structure is all set. Okay, this is the input structure. Now what I'll do is I'll define a output structure as well. Let me do that. And I'm going to customize it based on the already existing structure. So that's what I'm going to do. And what I'll do is in the test project, in the copybook, this one is there. I'll choose this one and let me call it. So now I'm going to create a map here. So I would say new map. I would say standard map. Let me call it okay, so the map has been created. Now I'll try to drag and drop these records. So this one I drag and drop, and the output structure I'll drag and drop on the output. So this also I have dragged and dropped. The other thing which I'll do is output I don't want in the COBOL, so I'm going to make it flat. And I make it flat and I save it. Now I shall try to do a test run. So when I do a test run, before doing the test run, I have to map the record from this side, from the left side to the right side. So let me map that. So I am dragging and dropping the record from left to right. I did that. And subsequently what it does is it maps each and every field here. Okay. So see ID is mapped to ID, short name is mapped to short name, whatever are the things they are mapped accordingly. Now let me do a test run. So this is the output which I generated. This is a test run output. And this is the thing which is generated by this mapping. So mapping has been done. I'm going to save this now. I have saved it. Now I have to go to the job. So one thing which we need to do is that the output structure which we defined, we have to have it, the properties updated so that it is coming in the proper format. So what we have to do here is character encoding. So I have changed the physical encoding as character, and what I did was character encoding as platform in default. Whatever default is there, I give that. So this is done now. I will just say OK. And let's now try to create a job. So what I have to do is I have to open the integration perspective, which I open like this. And I have to create a new job. Let's say my out job. I'll again go here in the mapping perspective. Why? Because I want to have this map fetched here. So I got the map here. Now I'll again go to the integration perspective and I will input raw, and I would select a output raw. So this input raw I will place here. I have to click and I have to stretch the red color thing and drop it on the next component. And I would say my out. I would say yes, I want to copy the target schema. Now what I'll do is I will give the input file properly here. I'll select the input file, which is the example.bin, and uh, let me just change this also. I call it myout.txt. .txt. Now I will go to target execution and see that it is selected as localhost and basic run and start the run. Let's go and open the file now. So the file has come like this, but we can have it delimited. So this I want to make it delimited. So I'll quickly make that change. I'll go here and I will go again to the mapping perspective. I'll go to this flat output structure and output as delimited I'll select, and delimiter I would make as comma. So let's see whether it takes this change or not. I'm not sure whether it'll take, but let's see that. I go to integration again so that I can run the job. I run the job one more time. So now I can see all my records are properly delimited with a comma. Okay, so this concludes the parsing. What I'll do is I will place these files, the example.bin and the copybook file, so that you are able to run this exercise yourself. Now let's do a quick recap of what we did. So initially what we did was we created the structures. For that structures, what we did was we opened the mapping perspective, which is here. First, we created a structure from the existing copybook, and then we created output structure with the previous which we had imported with the copybook, and then we created a map, and this is the map which we created. Then we have the mapping done by dragging and dropping the record here to here. Change this to flat. This was COBOL. I changed it to flat, and then I went here in the representations, in the output representation. Because I selected flat, I made some changes here. First is encoding I made as character. Second is delimited I made at true, and character encoding I made as true. Sorry, platform default. After doing this, I went to the integration perspective and created a job. So this is the job. In the job, I had the three components which are there. The first is input raw. In the input raw, what I did was you can double click to see the property, or you can go here and see the property. So what I did was I gave the proper path from where the input file should come and joined this red to this red. For this, again, I did the same thing. I created a output raw and gave the location of the output raw here. This is where I want to see the output, and then dragged and dropped here. Finally, this is the last step. I went here, checked the target execution is set as localhost, went to basic run and executed this. And finally, I saw that my bin file, which was in completely unreadable format, which is something like this. If I open with Notepad, for example, so this is the data which was there, and this is completely EBCDIC data and non-readable data, and we made sense of this data. And what we did was we were able to make sense of that data with the help of copybook and with the help of the Talend data mapper which was there. This concludes the tutorial. Thank you very much.